So what caused the downfall of Star Wars? What's the feather that broke Star Wars' back? Is it the shows? Is it the movies? Blah, 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 blah. Based on the comments of some of my previous videos, opinions seem to be more spread out than my book. I've talked about my opinions on Star Wars ad nauseum, so I'm not going to go into it. Okay? I'm not going to open that genie's bottle. So instead of only giving my opinion, I'm going to read some comments from my previous videos and get a general feeling for how the fans feel about Star Wars. And oh boy, there's a lot of feelings, but there's also a lot of common ground, but I'll get into that soon enough. First off, yep, Star Wars went on life support when Disney bought the rights. I remember when it was announced that Disney was going to purchase Lucasfilm and make new Star Wars movies, and I was so excited because, yes, that means more Star Wars, and at that point, Star Wars was pretty good. The prequels were kind of messy, but they were George Lucas's vision. But now we're going to see what the next generation can do with Star Wars. Let's just say it wasn't exactly the most appealing direction for Star Wars to go. It could have been worse. It should have been better. And Disney definitely has played a part in that. Whether it was not planning the sequel trilogy ahead of time until it became an absolute mess, or pushing out a bunch of hot slop onto Disney+. No matter how you look at it, the Disney overlords are kind of a big part of why Star Wars is where it is right now. While Kathleen Kennedy, who runs Lucasfilm, is definitely a part to play, and Dave Filoni is the new George Lucas. He was literally George Lucas's protege. This man created the Clone Wars, and now he's creating weird slop for Disney+, and I'm confused and scared and wetting myself. Speaking of slop, I'm telling you that Starfighter is going to be complete slop. Well, I hope not. Look, I'm not looking for, like, the end-all be-all of in-depth movies. Deadpool and Wolverine is kind of a slop movie, but it's fun, it's action-packed, it has a story, things happen that are easy to understand. Deadpool and Wolverine does have that classic Marvel third act issue, but I'm not gonna really hold that against that movie specifically. Deadpool and Wolverine was also made right in the middle of the strikes, so I don't really blame Sean Levy for any of the weird stuff in that movie because, again, it's a Marvel movie. Now, the idea of Sean Levy, the director of Deadpool and Wolverine, directing a Star Wars movie intrigues me because, yeah, I guess it could be complete slop. I don't think it's going to be anything groundbreaking or revolutionary, but I am hoping for the best. But I think it is a valid concern that the movie might turn out to be complete slop because of what Disney has been putting out on Disney Plus over the last 5 or 6 years. I don't know if Disney knows how to actually make, like, a real theatrical movie anymore. If Captain America Brave New World is anything to go by, I don't think Disney knows how to make movies anymore. And sometimes on accident they make one, like Thunderbolts. I know that's a completely different studio under Disney, but both Marvel Studios and Lucasfilm have very similar issues because of Disney. So I think the overarching issue is probably Disney, or maybe all. This person just said all, so I think they're referring to all of Disney Star Wars is bad. I'm so glad someone else likes The Force Awakens. It's my favorite Star Wars movie. It's just a shame that the rest of the trilogy sucks. I agree, the rest of the trilogy does kind of suck. The Last Jedi in a vacuum is a fine movie. It has some good action, but it's a really weird Star Wars sequel. And while movies should be able to stand on their own, I don't think The Last Jedi stands on its own, and I also don't think it's a good Star Wars sequel. It's a bewildering movie that implies there's going to be moral grays, but then ends with a classic good guys versus bad guys fight in a field. The movie's just all over the place. The whole sequel trilogy is just all over the place. The Force Awakens is at least the first one. It doesn't carry all the baggage of the later films. I feel The Force Awakens in a vacuum is fine, but this person doesn't think so. Including The Force Awakens as something that is one of the only good Star Wars projects recently is definitely a bad choice if you don't want your fans to riot. I do want my fans to riot. I want the engagement. My fans and haters are both worth a lot to me because they make me money. But no, I definitely understand if somebody doesn't like The Force Awakens in a vacuum because it's a ripoff of A New Hope, or if they don't like it because the rest of the sequel trilogy sucks. Either way, I can see how somebody would not like this movie. Disney was the worst thing. I can't necessarily disagree. I personally did not think that the Book of Boba Fett was that bad. I can see why others don't like it, but I did. And this person says, I didn't think it was terrible, but it wasn't good, just okay. I think it's hot garbage. The Book of Boba Fett really disappointed me because I actually thought there would be an interesting crime thriller and I should have expected it not to be that. It's a shallow shell that brings back 2 legacy characters and does absolutely nothing with them. Boba Fett's arc is confusing and hilarious, and Cad Bane does nothing. Book of Boba Fett also does not exist well in a vacuum on its own, but it also doesn't exist well within the overall Star Wars franchise, because the magic of Star Wars just doesn't exist in this show. It feels like complete slop. The Book of Boba Fett is what I hope Starfighter is not. I hope Starfighter is not the film equivalent of Book of Boba Fett. Now, I think this next comment has the best summary of what's really wrong with Star Wars right now, and that's the fans. Now, this next comment is interesting because I think it might be the best summary of the problems with Star Wars right now. The fans are what's wrong with Star Wars, and the last bad project Disney produced were the sequels and some bad decisions with the Book of Boba Fett, but other than those two, there have been good projects with maybe a bad execution every now and then, but the projects himself were still, I'd say, at least decent or good. I can't necessarily agree. I do think that the fans like me play a part in why Star Wars is where it is right now. As you can see from all of the comments I've looked at in this video, everybody thinks there's something different wrong with Star Wars or has different opinions about the shows and movies. And in the last video, I talked about the over-reliance on expanded lore and expanded characters. And that does tie into the fact that the fans are part to blame for the failures of Star Wars, especially with the sequel trilogy. The sequel trilogy is all over the place, not only because the fans complained about everything, but because Lucasfilm and Disney were entirely reactionary on every front, leading to a very incoherent and disconnected trilogy. And now every Disney Plus project is just trying to appeal to the core fan base, desperately trying to keep the core fan base together. And I'm kind of sick of it because I just want new Star Wars, but new Star Wars breeds risk. And risk means people might hate on it. And then Disney and Lucasfilm will freak out again. And then we'll just be right back to where we are. Obi-Wan Kenobi show wasn't that bad, not gonna lie. Rey. See, there's people who just hate the character of Rey. It's the fans. They are what's wrong. As you can see, there's a lot of opinions about what is wrong with Star Wars. At the end of the day, I still think it is the over-reliance on expanded lore and random characters that nobody really cares about, except for the extreme die-hard fans. The general audience just doesn't really care enough about Ahsoka inherently to watch her show. I feel like Ahsoka is missing some sort of driving force. I feel like Ahsoka just doesn't have... I feel like the Disney Plus shows don't have a good hook other than, hey, it's a character you recognize in a show with their name in the title. Watch this show now! A show like Andor has more themes, characters, and events taking place that you can chew on as an audience member, rather than, oh, it's Obi-Wan running around saving Leia and fighting Darth Vader again. But we already know where this character is going, and this character and that character died then, but now they're back. This character died, and now they're dead again, but they're coming back again. I still think that's the main problem with Star Wars right now, and I feel like that's just led to the fans fighting each other, like gladiators in an arena, in a Star Wars arena, full of all your favorite Star Wars toys. A bunch of Star Wars fans just beating each other with their favorite Star Wars toys. And at some point, those toys are gonna wear out, and we're gonna need some new ones. So that's why I'm hoping Starfighter isn't complete slop. Because if it's actually a decent movie and they put a decent amount of effort into making it a crowd-pleasing adventure film, or at least something that has the heart and soul of classic Star Wars, then I think that'll at least show people, hey, maybe we shouldn't get another show about a character who died in the 80s.